Welcome to the Victorian Small Business Podcast, your go-to network for connecting small businesses who want to connect, share, and grow. We bring together the heart and hustle of entrepreneurship, sharing real stories, insights, and tips from business owners. I'm Alafaci, and I am the copywriter who doesn't do salesy. And today I'm joined by Kate Merryweather, who is that redhead LinkedIn coach. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you for having me. I get to talk about LinkedIn, which I love.
Fantastic. I want to just focus this session on visibility and using LinkedIn as a visibility tool. And when you talk about visibility for small business, it can mean a whole lot of different things. It can mean being seen, being understood, being remembered, a whole range of things. What does it mean to you, and how can small businesses use LinkedIn to gain visibility?
Well, I think visibility is like a journey that you go on as a business owner. And not always, but typically a lot of business owners say, "Oh, I don't want to, promote myself. I'm not here to get attention." And they have that kind of mindset challenge of feeling like you're bragging or you're just talking about yourself too much and you don't want to be annoying. So I think I certainly struggled with that. My background was in public relations, so I was always about promoting my clients. You would never ever put yourself in the spotlight. It was all about promoting your clients. So I went through a journey of feeling that way myself and really struggling with visibility. And then I just started to realize that if I don't promote my business, no one else will do it for me. And there's a lot of risks of invisibility. So to me, it's about taking on that, showing up on LinkedIn, using it as a platform for visibility, which is great for. And then feeling like I'm in control of the way that I show up and the messages that I'm sending and the way that I'm selling on LinkedIn so that I'm attracting the right kinds of people. So I think a lot of people are like fearful of visibility, but I actually think invisibility is a very risky move in business. If no one knows you, knows what you can do, and the right people don't know who you are, I think that's super risky. So
yeah, I often talk
we don't have a choice.
I often talk about people thinking marketing is just like standing up in the middle of the MCG and yelling out in the middle of grand final day when there's 100,000 people there, buy my thing. And, the person next to you is going, shut up, sit down, you're interrupting me. And 3 rows down, people are going, burger rings, what? And your ideal client's right over the other side of the ground and they've got no way of hearing you. So you really need to be visible in an effective way, I think. And I think LinkedIn's a really good tool for that.
Absolutely. I think what LinkedIn gives us all, the great power that it gives over other platforms, is the ability to find people and search and send connection requests to the people that you want to work with or the people that you want to know you exist, the people you want to collaborate with. And it has so many ways for you to find them and connect with them. You can obviously search for them, you can message them, you can start conversations. So I think it can be great to use for visibility at scale, but also the one-on-one relationships you can build on LinkedIn are also really powerful as well. So I think a lot of business owners can only benefit from dipping their toe in the water. So then you obviously work with clients as a copywriter, Marie. So I'm interested, like, what are they saying to you? Are they wondering what to say and how to show up? Do you get those questions as a copywriter?
I think a lot of people think that just having a LinkedIn profile is enough, and they sort of see it as an electronic CV, and then they wonder why nothing happens. So for me, the visibility is about getting in front of the right people. And even when you get a lot of interest and a lot of attraction and a lot of interaction, it might not be the right people. And I was thinking about this the other day. I've been spending a lot of time driving across town through Punt Road and Hoddle Street, which for people in Melbourne who are not in Melbourne may not know, but it is a really huge arterial road and probably 1 million cars go through there a year. I have no idea what the statistics are, but it's a huge number of cars. And there's a point when you're coming into, I think it's Richmond Station, where you go under a railway bridge. And in there's thousands of posters, like just posters everywhere you look. And, there's for a band and there's for a restaurant or whatever, protest posters go there. But one that struck me is there's all of these posters for this thing called the Viper Room. Now, I looked it up on an incognito tab because I had no idea what it was and I didn't want it in my search history in case it was something embarrassing. And it's a club. And I thought, wow, they've got millions of eyeballs on this poster every day, and none of us are your ideal customer. Well, probably none of us. I would imagine that their ideal customer are young people who live close to the city who are not going to be driving down Punt Road. And so it made me to me, it's a good analogy of what happens when you get on LinkedIn or any sort of social media platform, is that people who are online at that time, most of them are not interested in what you're doing. Some of them never even heard of what copywriting is and how to market their businesses. So, yeah, the sort of things I have to get around, the sort of things I have to talk to my clients about, it doesn't matter how many views you've got of this. It doesn't matter how many comments. It is, have the right people. Have you got 3 potential clients comment and say, that's really great, or just give you a thumbs up? Or have you found that you're getting more of your ideal customer following you? Because it's about getting the right people to see you, because it's all fine and well to be visible like these Viper Room ads, but unless you're an ideal customer, it's kind of pointless. So actually that brings me to something to ask you. How do you get people in front of the right people? Because I know that's a big thing that you do, and you're just talking about searching and connecting. How do you help your clients to do that, and how do you do it?
I think the key thing is that you can be proactive on LinkedIn. And as I said, search and send connection requests to people. But a step before that is probably looking at your profile and positioning it to appeal. Because we know that the way that people use LinkedIn, so say someone sends me a connection request, I'm going to have a quick look at their profile to make a decision as to whether to accept them. So if you can reverse engineer that and think, what can I say on my profile that is going to appeal to my ideal audience so that when I send them a connection request, they're likely to accept? And it's interesting you talk about the billboard on Punt Road, because that's exactly what your banner is on LinkedIn. So you can make that into a bit of a billboard, and it shouldn't be your name in big letters or your logo. It should have an impactful message. I call it like a positioning statement or an authority statement that speaks to your ideal audience so that when you connect with them, they're likely to accept. The other thing we can always do is just be part of the community and comment. And this is really sensible and boring advice, and everyone wants fast results, Marie, but it's like, if you want to get fit, you can't just go to the gym once. You've got to go to the gym regularly. If you want to eat well, you can't just eat one broccoli. You've got to eat healthily, consistently. And it's a bit like that. A lot of people say, oh, I've been posting for 3 weeks, twice a week. And I think, well, that's 6 posts. So that hasn't, it takes a bit of time. So I think it's a long game. It takes patience and persistence and consistency. So I think that's really important. A lot of people, as you say, oh, I tried and it didn't work. And I think, first of all, their profile probably wasn't appealing. They probably weren't sending connection requests. So their audience was full of their ex-colleagues, and they didn't give it enough time. It takes time to know how to post, what to post. It takes time to learn and to get good at posting on LinkedIn. We really can't give it 2 months and expect great results, especially in the economy that we have now. Like, it's still, I think it's improving, but it's a little bit quiet still. In some sectors are booming, others aren't. But I think economically, a lot of people, whether they're investing, they just want to build trust. So I think LinkedIn can be great for that, to just show your expertise repeatedly and just keep showing up for your audience so that they get to know you.
It's funny you saying about, wanting to do it instantly. You just got to think of the number of people who are online at any one time, and all of them are saying, oh, that's exactly what I need. Of course not. You have to catch them. I don't know how many times. It's so many touch points across so many different platforms and so many messages before people even register that you're a thing that, I might one day need. So yeah.
It's a small percentage of your audience. Like I've got one client who's in the property space. She helps people buy and sell properties. So the life cycle of her potential clients needing her could be 15 years. If they're in a house, they're not buying or selling. Real estate agents have the same issue, but they just keep sending Christmas cards and calling you because one day you will be ready to buy or sell and they want to be top of mind. So um, you do need to take a long-term strategy. I'd be interested as a copywriter, Marie, what you think about like the void of personality in content and what you're seeing, and how you can help your clients with their brand voice.
Look, I think the thing with brand voice is really you've got to be authentic because apart from anything else, it's too hard to be someone else. I mean, as a kid, I was a really good liar, but it was because I had a great memory, right? I had a fantastic memory. Now I'm older. I can't be bothered. Like, what did I tell them? Did I say it was because my cat was sick or, cannot be bothered? And so, I've learned honesty is the best policy. But certainly in social media, you have to be your authentic self. Now, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to tell them that you were the tap dancing champion of Wagga Wagga tap dancing club for 12 years in a row, unless,
Were
you're
you?
doing,
Were you?
no, no, unless you're selling tap dancing lessons, and it might be a quirky little thing you might mention occasionally, but you've got to be your authentic self. And we're all slightly different when we talk to our kids or our parents or our colleagues and certainly clients. We're slightly different. So you don't have to give them warts and all, but be authentic because it's too hard not to be. And people can sniff out fakery and bullshit just so easily. And
Oh, sure.
we're all sick of, AI messages and all this kind of stuff. But the other thing is, I really think your values should inform your brand voice and your brand identity. And like one thing I do, one of my big things is I call myself the copywriter who doesn't do salesy. And that's partly because the clients I work with are either in highly technical, complex, or highly regulated industries. And they hate marketing and they hate salesy stuff, but they're really smart people. They don't want to feel dumb. And I know I hate feeling dumb. And I hate feeling left out. And I really hate people talking in jargon. And, it's a bit like the cliques at school. Kids will just keep you on the edge, and words are power. And if you don't know the latest buzzwords, you're an idiot, So that's a
My
real.
kid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the things I've started doing on LinkedIn is to post my never-ending quest to understand what my kids are saying, I bring you this month chuggy or whatever word that I've heard and have a definition for now. And so just share the love. So I hate feeling dumb. And so so that's a real personal value for me. And so that's how I approach all of my clients. There's never any, if someone says, oh, what's a landing page? Oh, I should know. You go, no, why would you know? You are a wedding planner. I can probably organize a wedding, but you are a specialist. You do you. I can do all the marketing stuff. So I don't want people to feel dumb. So that's a real thing. That's part of how I inform my marketing and how I approach my clients. So I think it's easier to be authentic. And if you have, it means that you're living your life without getting too sort of Gwyneth Paltrow, but with in your own truth. You're being an integrated human in everything. So that's why I think that's important.
I'm interested in your perspective on how you say you're not into salesy. So what when you say salesy, what does that mean to you? Do you mean just overly pushy, false promises, all those kind of?
Yeah, I think it comes from numbers of my clients, and one of them in particular was a real curmudgeon. And if you're watching, I love you very much. I'm not going to say their name, but they were, marketing guff. No, 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 because they're seriously brain the size of a planet and they want the facts. Put the facts on the website and then people will, obviously, it's self-evident I'm the right person for them. And I go, no, no. And that my clients come from the point of view that emotional connection that we try to get, which is, oh, thank God Kate gets me. She knows. I just want to be more visible on LinkedIn. That is an emotional connection. And they find the whole idea of using that emotional connection as evil. And I go, mate, we are not recruiting people to a sect. We're not catfishing you. You've got something to sell that will help this client achieve what they want to achieve or will solve their problem. It's not sleazy salesy. It's making an emotional connection that will help someone choose you or not. So that's what I mean about salesy. It's like, I'm not here to be the used car salesman or the guy when, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when I would go shopping with my mum, they'd go, are you two sisters? And I go, oh, fan freaking tastic. What, you think I looked 60 when I was 30? So that level of false, sleazy emotiveness, that's what I do not like.
I think you can be persuasive in an ethical way. And one of the things I like to do is say on my sales page for some of my offers, I'll say it takes work. Like, I'm not going to promise you that you'll get a lead in 30 days. And I see people on LinkedIn saying that. And I always think, oh, you can't promise what someone else is going to do when someone else is going to buy. You and I have no control over whether our clients are going to sell their offers. But we can promise other things. And I think we can also disclose the reality of, as I was saying, it takes time, it takes work, it takes effort. And so you can be persuasive in an ethical way. Or you can say things like, we're only 100 available when really there's no limit. Or, the deadline is Friday, but then it's still available on Monday. All those icky sales things that, as you rightly say, people can see through. And a lot of small business owners don't want to touch that unethical marketing tactics.
It's that trust that you're talking about, because I don't know about you, but I've certainly bought something as the clock's ticked down and bought it before, the actual clock has gone to zero. And then you go back a week later, it's on again. And that is a real trust breaker. And you feel stupid.
Like, it feels silly. Absolutely. Yeah. I've been duped. I bought a program years ago and I was meeting my friends for coffee and I was in my car and I was like, I've got to buy this because the deadline's midday. And then I bought it. I went in, I had the coffee, and then I went back in and sure enough, I could have bought it later. And yeah, you feel duped. It's not a way to get clients. And it's a short-term tactic that doesn't really last long-term.
Is that something people expect from you? They want 10 leads in a month. Because I see all of these, ridiculous, mostly in the messages I get, would you like guaranteed 10,000 leads or da-da? And I go, mate, I couldn't handle 10,000 leads for a start. Look at my business. It's me. So what do people sort of expect from you that you just go, hey, no, that's not what this is about? Or are you really good at nurturing clients so that they understand what they're going to get? I suspect the latter, but
I think, yes, I talk a lot about these openly on LinkedIn, like what it's like to work with me. So I feel that has the dual benefit of repelling people who aren't right and attracting people who are right and who see the value. So that's a really nice thing to do, which means that you just really like your clients and they really like you. That can be nice instead of working with difficult clients. But I did have one client who came to mind and he wanted pretty audacious goals on LinkedIn, and it was all about those dopamine. He had a business where he just wanted more than his competitors. On that, I want more followers than my competitors. I had another industry say the same thing. We're much bigger than this other company, so why have they got more followers? We should have more followers because we're bigger. And those aren't really the right goals. I always come back to commercial goals. Yes, having lots of followers is great for your ego and it can help with your visibility because people comment more because you've got a bigger audience, etc. So it definitely does help. But at the end of the day, we're not here just to have lots of followers and be popular. We're here to grow our business. And to me, it always comes down to like getting leads and getting sales. And I think LinkedIn can be excellent for that. And that's what I teach my clients is to help them not just share useful tips and not just share funny stories or get vulnerable and get lots of comments and maybe go viral, but to actually sell their offers. And I think that's what we're all in it to do. And yes, we can help a lot of people along the way and build a community along the way, but I'm pretty open in the fact that I'm here to help myself and my clients make a bit of money in their business.
Yeah, no one gets paid until someone sells something. It's pretty true. Yeah, one of my bosses used to say that. And he also used to say, anyone can sell a dollar for 50 cents, which is his way
Oh,
of
that's a
saying,
good line.
don't discount. Don't. And I never discount. That's been something I've remembered for over 30 years. So I don't discount. I might offer something that's low cost to me, but high value to a client, but I'm not going to discount, because once you start doing that, that's what people expect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So true. That's a good line. I hope to see you post about that on LinkedIn soon. I think one people don't do enough is they don't see their own expertise, or they say, oh, I'm not an expert. I don't want to, I don't want to be a thought leader. I'm not an expert. But you must be an expert in business. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a business. Your wedding planner client is an expert in planning weddings. And what she or he, thinks is obvious that you would, that seating plan or that, schedule or whatever they do isn't so obvious to the person not in that space. I think some people don't realize what seems to them simple knowledge that everyone knows is actually really helpful advice for others. So I like to help my clients tease that out. And I do what I just did to you, is when you say something interesting, I say, put it on LinkedIn, put it on LinkedIn.
Well, I have
And be
actually
on the
posted
lookout.
about that. I have actually posted about it, but it's on a rotation, because I have.
Oh, tag
Yeah,
me
I
next
will.
time.
I will
Talk about it.
definitely, because and that actually is something that I feel strongly about, and I'd be interested to know what you think. But most people think anything they put on there, everyone will know straight away. And that idea, I don't want to be a thought leader, I don't want to get above my station and all that stuff. Or when they first start out, they've mostly got ex-colleagues as their connections. And I don't want to be, da da da.
It's interesting you say about people's audience being their ex-colleagues, because if you let LinkedIn kind of sit there for a while, you might have a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand connections who are people you used to work with, and they aren't necessarily a right audience. And for some reason, a lot of people feel really anxious about particularly going from being employed to being in their own business, about those people seeing what you're doing. That's a really common fear, and it can hold people back. And what I like to say is those people are probably the best source of your referrals. I think LinkedIn is an excellent source of referrals. If you can educate your audience on who you are, what you're good at, and what you do, then they are much more likely to refer to you. That can be really powerful, because, as you rightly say, not everyone is ready to buy from you right now, but they might know someone who is, and they will probably happily drop your name. But if they don't really understand what you do, then they can't recommend